Welcome to this published authors show. My name is Kenneth Muyingo, and with me I have a special guest that I will be interviewing. First, I just want to mention if you watch this interview and you would like to write a book yourself, to become an author and write your first book, there's a link with the interview for you to join the group, become an author, and write your first book to connect with like minded people who are doing the same. And with that said, I would like to get into the interview by asking my guest to say hello to our viewers and listeners and to introduce himself.
First of all, thank you very much, Kenneth, for it's a pleasure for being with you live here. My name is Kailash Amesur. I am from India. I started my career as a scheduler with TV industry, where I gained some insight of writing plots and integrating a plot creation. Uh, Post that, I started my own business. I was an entrepreneur for good 5 years, and then I launched my book. The first book I launched was After You Leave Your Last Job, and now very soon in this month itself, my fourth book will be launching.
Wow. So the first book you launched is After You Leave Your First Job.
After You Leave Your Last Job.
After you leave your last job.
So the idea was I worked for a corporate company for good 7 to 8 years,
Yeah.
and I had a craving of starting something of my own and being an entrepreneur. The phase itself is very difficult when you are at a peak and work for a corporate for years, and you want to start your own business. There are so many thoughts surrounded. So that's the book about. So after you leave your last job is about a journey of an entrepreneur leaving the old job and starting his own venture.
Wow. I have a feeling we're going to enjoy this one, Kailash, because there are many people who are in this situation right now. For some of them, it's out of their own decisions, and others have been forced into the decision because their jobs are no more. So tell us, what inspired you to write this book?
As said, as I mentioned earlier, I worked for a corporate company for 7 years.
Yeah,
One day I decided to quit and start my own venture. Starting up your own venture comes with so many thoughts. So, for example, if you work for a corporate company, everything is being taken care of, right from your mobile bills, right from your travel. Everything is being taken care of by the company. You don't have to worry about it.
yeah,
Starting your own venture, the next morning itself, you will start paying for everything.
yeah,
So the book starts wherein from tomorrow I don't have an alarm. You know, I don't have to report to anyone. I don't have to rush anywhere. But from tomorrow, I have to take care of my own needs.
wow. This is great. And but I'm thinking, Kailash, many people around the time that you made this move to start your own journey as an entrepreneur, to leave the corporate world and start your own venture. I have a feeling there's many people that some of them maybe you even know in your circle. But I'm curious. I don't think all of them wrote a book about this. There must be something,
Right.
and I think sometimes we even don't pay attention to what that is because
Uh,
I think it's a very relevant topic, and I'm just dwelling here a little bit. I think there's something that we are missing.
right, right, right. So I can write mysteries. I knew I had a lot of plot creations in mind, but never thought of penning down anything like that. I was on a business trip in Europe. I was in Italy, and since I had an ample of time there, one day I thought I had an ample of time and there's nothing much to do. I thought to jot down the thoughts which I had in my mind, the
Yeah,
journey I had in life, and that's how it started. I started writing. So the first book was a non-fiction. It was just a journey I had. I wanted to share the experience to the world. It is not that easy to become an entrepreneur, but it is not that hard. It is not impossible also. you know so that's how it started, and I started writing. And after the success of the book, After You Leave Your Last Job, my second book, The Stolen House, was a fiction. It's a mystery thriller,
Yeah.
and that has been awarded really, really well. I didn't knew, it is going to do so well. The Stolen House, I have been awarded with a top 100 author, aspiring author, and this year I got the national award from here.
Wow, congratulations. That's a huge, and this is for The Stolen House.
That's for The Stolen House.
Wow, we will get into The Stolen House. I want us to first go back to After You Leave Your Last Job. And what's the vision that you had for this book? So we have got clear on why you wrote the book, how it all started. Like you started this writing and you got the idea while you were on a trip in Italy. But what's the vision that you had for the book? What did you have in mind when you wrote the book?
Uh, I have seen a lot of struggle time the moment I left my job and I started my venture. That phase was a good roller coaster. And I wanted to share that experience, the thrill, express all the experience I had to the world. So,
Yeah,
someone who's really stuck up in a job, you know, uh, I think most of the people, you know, who wanted to start a venture, there's one thing which holds them back is the salary, the finances.
yeah,
They think if they won't be able to do up for next 3 4 months 6 months or probably 1 year, they will fall into ashes, and that's not right.
yeah,
uh, People read, and most of them follow the 1000 days rule in business,
yeah,
but actually there's always a fear factor everyone
yeah,
has to start a venture. I'm sure you met so many people and they come up with the brilliant ideas,
yeah,
you know but they don't go for a startup just with that one fear, who's going to take care of their expenses.
yeah, 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 indeed.
So the idea was to share the journey. The idea was to share all those fear factors to the world.
This is good. And so, if there's an entrepreneur, someone who is still in their corporate job right now, and they're watching us, and they're thinking about making this move, but they have all these fears and these concerns, knowing what you know, having been through this, and you have even written this book after you leave your last job, what can you share with them, knowing what you know?
I have learned one thing that pushed me to write this. The first venture was not successful. So I left my job, I started a venture, and it was not successful. That, actually boosted me because I understood you rise from ashes. That time you don't have anything to lose, and that is the time you perform. So
Yeah,
anybody who wants to start up a venture, you know, apart from working on that venture correctly, working on the ideas, checking on the business plans, just get out of the fear factor. If it is not successful, it will still give you something to do.
yeah. Thank you, Kailash. That is good. And so you mentioned earlier that you are into writing for television, was it? For short
I
stories?
was, I'm sorry, I was not writing for televisions. I work with televisions for some time. I
Yeah,
was a scheduler there. So my part of job was reading all the scripts
yeah,
to make a schedule for next 6 months or whatever time
yeah,
for all the actors and the production house.
yeah,
While reading, I have to read each and every plot, each and everything written in the script.
yeah,
And initially, it was not that great. It was not that fun, but I started liking it.
yeah.
That's
And
how it started.
and it's this experience of working with all this material, having to read all these scripts, that inspired you to start to put things down yourself.
Right, right.
Wow, that's amazing. And so right now, it's sometimes some people say, I would like to make the move to leave my corporate job and start something for myself, but I feel like the time is not right. What can you share with them about that?
I think if we talk about the current time, it is the most right time to do things.
Yeah.
It is the best time to start a venture. This is
Why
a
is that?
perfect, and because this is the time, once when we talk about a job and a venture, we talk about the very one thing which is security. People think the job is giving them a security, and venture or a business is not. It's a non-secured thing. So let's understand, in this current situation, there is no job security as well.
More like job
The,
insecurity.
the very first thing is, the jobs are not secured at all. So
Yeah,
the fear factor of security is already gone.
indeed.
You never know the next morning you go to the office and you've been already asked to leave.
Yeah,
So your job is not secure. Second, I think somebody who knows to manage time should be doing his own business. If
yeah,
you know to manage your time well, you should be doing your own business. Don't work for someone else, work for yourself.
yeah. Very nice. And so you mentioned this experience of uh, working with all these scripts. When you look back in your own experience, what would you tell me is the one thing that has happened to you personally that has got you to the point of writing books? Because you mentioned 4 books, right?
Yes.
When you
See,
look back on your journey,
I always had those. So when I look back in the journey, apart from reading scripts, I love to read books also. And I always wondered, I always wanted to write, but never got an opportunity or never thought of penning down those thoughts. So I'm a die-hard fan of John Grisham. I'm a die-hard fan of Sidney Sheldon. I've read all the series of their books, but I never thought, I would write sometime. So
yeah,
this was something very spontaneous, which started with a non-fiction. That was my experience, but I prefer to write more of fiction only.
I see. And so you mentioned reading. You mentioned Sidney Sheldon, John Grisham. Do you prefer paperback books or you prefer audiobooks?
I still prefer paperback.
Aha, I see. Let's talk about Stolen House. So when did you publish Stolen House?
It was way back published in 2018,
Yes.
and it was again republished in 2019. 2018, I published that book. It is a thriller mystery book. The book takes you to a small town in India, which is Goa, where you have a. It's a story of a cop and a lawyer, a
Yeah.
maverick and a lawyer.
Wow. And what inspired you to write this one, Stolen House?
Stolen House plot was there in my mind, and after writing, after you leave a last job, I thought I should continue writing.
Yeah.
So the plot was actually there in my mind. I wanted to write something one cannot stop reading, a small pocket-sized book. Majorly, I wanted to get it available to the kids. So the problem with the books right now, I see, the only books uh, kids read is the educational books.
Yeah.
At least in my country, I see that.
Yeah.
They don't go for any other books
Yeah.
unless they have been pushed for it.
Yeah.
So I wanted something which is readable to the kids, to all the generation, which is a little intriguing, which is little thrilling and mystery,
I
and a
see.
pocket size. So that's not very boring for them.
Yeah.
Stolen House is a kind of a story wherein a big lawyer loses his house. The house is stolen, and a maverick cop is getting into the inquiry of it.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of other plots into it.
Wow. It sounds very intriguing indeed. And
Right.
you said that this book won an award in India.
So totally, there are 3 awards which I was I got with Stolen House. The first was the top 100 authors, and then the other was top aspiring author, and then this the award of Rajya Sahu Award.
Wow. And all of these three awards were for Stolen House.
Yes.
That's a big one. Thank you so much for sharing about that.
Thank you, sir.
And if somebody is watching us and they would like to write a book for themselves, but they feel like they don't have what it takes, what can you share with them, knowing what you know, that you have written a book that has won 3 awards?
So I'm sorry, you said they don't have what?
They
don't have material.
They feel like they don't have what it takes to write a book, or they feel like it's not worth it.
My perception for on this point is nobody thinks it's not worth it. Most of the time, I've seen people they want to write, but they are not ready to take the first step of penning it down.
Yeah.
The very first step of start writing. So most of the people are very scary, and they actually get into those things. How would be the grammar? How am I going to write? How am I going to edit? They start looking for fancy words.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. For me, I have seen a famous interview by one of the famous author, and once he mentioned in the interview that you need to write every day. You need to make it a habit. If you start writing every day and you make it a habit, you know, you will automatically reach your goal. Unless and until you make it as a daily habit, maybe it is just a 1 page, maybe it is just a 2 page, whatever, but you have to write it down every day. So the first challenge of overcoming writing is start writing. That's the very first thing. So I tell you, my start is I start my day at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very pleasant time to write, because I can play with my characters. I can give shade to my characters. Maybe that may not work for everyone else. They are more comfortable in writing in the evening or afternoon. But make sure that you write every day, whatever it is there in your mind.
Yeah.
Right. Second, I think first of all, one has to get a clarity of what they want to write. That's the first thing. If you're clear about that, if you're clear about your niche, then I think things will be taken care of.
Indeed. Most definitely.
And,
thank you so much.
And one more important thing, I think every writer is obviously a good reader. So somewhere or the other, I personally believe the aspiration comes from reading also.
Yeah.
So if you read and if you follow them, they actually aspire you to write. You really don't have to copy them, but you feel like writing.
And that this is really good advice. And so after Stolen House, what is book number 3?
The book number 3, which I mentioned, will be launched this month. It's a very sensitive topic, at least in my country. That's why it's taking too long.
Yeah.
So hopefully I get published this month. The book name is Men on TV, Domestic Violence, The Other Side of Story.
Wow. That's a very sensitive topic.
So the book is about a journey about a person who, in my country or any other country, I'm not much sure about it. There are more than 49 laws wherein you don't have to really make a complaint physically at the police station, and you can do a case to the male person. It could be your spouse, it could be a boyfriend, or anyone else. Domestic violence is one of those sections wherein you don't have to take any kind of evidence. You don't have to prove yourself. You can just make a complaint and that person can be arrested for no reasons. Without any investigation, the cases goes on for years and years. And by the time, if the person who is not even guilty, he has lost his dignity, he has lost his career, he has lost his family, he's lost everything in life.
Yeah. Wow. So this is the
So
other
that's the
side
new
of DV.
men on TV,
Men on
the
men.
other side of the story.
Wow, that's really good. And what inspired you to write this one?
Well, I came across so many cases where I have seen people struggling through fake cases,
Yeah,
through fake cases of rape, through fake cases of domestic violence. It's easy for any of the girl to stand up and say that she's been raped or there was a domestic violence. There is no
yeah,
investigation done and the case was registered. Now this guy, the poor guy, has to prove all the time that he was not guilty.
yeah,
Uh, One cannot even imagine the situation. Uh, I have seen people, I have read about the suicide, the male suicide. But
yeah,
the ratio in any country, if you pick up, is very, very high because of that.
yeah,
So it was okay for me watching others. I read in newspaper, I read in social sites, and I was okay with it. Uh, but certain situation came across in my life, and I understood the pain,
yeah. Wow,
and
this is
that pushed me to write it.
that pushed you to write it. That's really good. And what about the fourth book? Can you tell us about that?
The fourth book is again the series of the Stolen House. That is going to be Stolen House too.
Stolen House too. Wow, this is really great. And um, so if you would look at your experience before you started writing books, and now that you are a published author, uh, if you looked back, if you had a chance to look back on your life or to go back to that time before you published your first book, would you do it all over again, or would you say, no, it's not worth it?
I would love to do that. I would seriously love to do that because I would carry an experience now. Go back, recorrect the things, relaunch everything, and it could be much much better success.
Yeah. Wow. Indeed.
So I will always I would not count on number of sales. To be
Yeah.
very honest, I would not say the number of sales for any author or for any aspiring author who want to publish their book. I would say the success is publishing your book, not the number of sales.
Indeed. Most definitely. Thank you so much for that. And where can people buy your books?
Well, the books are available on all the sites, Amazon, Google Play, all the sites they are available. Uh, uh, it's a little, since I told you it's a little sensitive topic, so Men on DV should be released, I think, by Christmas. We are planning to release by Christmas. So
Nice.
by Christmas, we will have it available on all the sites like Amazon, Google Play, all the bookseller sites.
Very nice. And if somebody watches this interview and they would like to connect with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Uh, well, I'm available on all the social sites. You can also connect me on my own website, that is authorkailash.com.
Very nice. We will put those links with the interview so that people can connect with you.
That's so kind of you.
Yes.
I have questions, sir.
Yes.
I can see a lot of books behind you.
Yeah.
You have a very wonderful libraries.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I've like what you mentioned, that readers or authors are readers. I'm an author myself and a leader as well. I say leaders are readers and authors are readers.
Right.
So
Yes. Yes.
I spend a lot of time in my office, and every opportunity I get to have some time to read, I make use of it. Thank you for that. And is there anything else that you would like to mention that we have not been able to address in the interview?
Well, I would really like to comment on my upcoming book. Uh, on the book Men on DV, Domestic Violence, the Other Side of Story. Uh, there's a lot of misconception with the name. This book is not against any feminist, you know. The book is not against anyone. The book is against the law. You know, the law which was actually made to safeguard the woman is now used to play against the man.
Yeah.
So I think, given a chance, even women should pick it up and read. You know,
Yeah.
because the kind of cover, people think it's a misogynist. It's not a misogynist.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Kailash. It was a pleasure as well as a privilege for me to do this.
Thank you
Um,
so much, sir, for having me on board.
you're
And
welcome.
I'm sorry.
Should be keeping in touch with you as well.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.